Midsommar, Crawl and Hellboy, all coming up next on the blog rundown. And John, we're going to kick off the show with a movie review from Philip Henry, and it is a Midsommar from this year, a film you and I have not seen yet.
No, Steve, we couldn't get to this one because the showings by the time we actually tried to go and watch this movie in the theatres were incredibly late.
Yeah.
It was like, I think 10 to 10 or 10 to 11 at night.
It was crazy.
We weren't getting out the theatre till like 1, half 1, 2 in the morning. I can't do that.
And
I've got a job, you've got a job.
I didn't want to go to Bathgate either, John.
No, Bathgate was the only other option.
40 miles from our city. So.
Just outside of Edinburgh. So we'd have to travel halfway across the city to get a decent
Midweek.
showing time, midweek, and then we would then have to travel all the way back across the country, in which case completely defeats the purpose. We'd still be getting in at like 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
But I digress.
Yeah.
Didn't get a chance to see it. We'll have to wait until it hits home release, Stephen, but I can assure you I will be watching this movie.
One thing's for sure, John,
when it comes out.
Philip paints a pretty picture of it anyway. Directed by Ari Aster, as we know, and stars the likes of Florence Pugh, Jack Rayner, Will Porter and Willem Blomgren.
Blomgren, yes, Stephen. Obviously, Ari Aster has directed this movie. I did see Hereditary. We both know about Florence Pugh. She was in The Fall. She's been in numerous other movies. I think it was Mary. No, it wasn't Mary Queen of Scots. It was The Outlaw King.
Yeah.
So she's a very accomplished young actress. Even now, she's stepping into the world of the MCU. I think.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she is.
Yeah.
It's in Black Widow.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've got Will Porter in there as well. A chap who I'm well renowned with. I know him very well from the likes of Wild Bill and whatnot.
Yeah.
A very good actor. But Stephen, we both reacted to the trailers. We got a general sense of what this movie was about. Obviously, it's set in this, I think, once in every 80 or 90 years, this festival happens in Sweden. This group of friends all go over, and then Florence Pugh's character has a bit of a tragedy and she tags along. And then they're invested into this strange sort of a ritualistic setting, and it slowly unearths what's happening. We get a sense of what was happening. We don't actually have to go and see the movie and get that.
Well, one thing we didn't get from the trailer, John, was obviously the dynamics of the relationship between the Florence Pugh character, Danny, I think she's called, and the other boys. She's actually, Philip describes it pretty well here. She's the sort of, the spare wheel in the group. I think the boy that she was going out with was ready to dump her. Yeah. But she had obviously, she said, a bit of tragedy in her life, and he feels obliged to sort of hang on in there, possibly till the end of their trip. But the rest of the boys are not happy about it. So that was one thing that we didn't really get from the trailer.
No, Stephen. I find it interesting what Phil says as well. That obviously this is he thought going in to see this movie it was going to be like another Wicker Man Mark II. Also, we know Ari Aster's not going to give you one of those sort of abomination style movies that Nick Cage gave us back in the day. Yeah. It'll be slightly more cerebral in the storytelling and better production quality overall. But he says he was in a sense correct because the overall plot points, the beats of the movie did mirror that of The Wicker Man. But obviously, as I did say, better, hopefully. I've not seen it, so I'm hoping it's better. But he does say it's not like a traditional horror movie. It's not psychological or paranormal, I think he says in any way. And that's something obviously, having only seen Hereditary as the previous movie from Ari Aster, that did have tinges of paranormal aspects going on in there. But he is quite, how can I put it, he's quite clever in the way that he utilises genre. He said it himself, he doesn't go for jump scares, he likes to envelop the audience into the movie, slowly but surely, and then he hits them with a series of gut punches towards the end of the movie. And that's also something he's done again here. Phil does say, it's not a movie that's going for one big reveal, I think he says, overall. This isn't a movie that hinges on one big reveal. It's lots of little shocking things and worrying turns of events that slowly... It's almost like, what I get from it, Stephen, like I think it's the frog or I think it's the frog you call it, when you put it in the pot and you slowly raise the temperature. They don't realise what's going on around them until it's too late. Whereas if you fling the frog into boiling water, then it knows right away, this isn't right, I'm going to die, and it screws the place down. So that's a terrible analogy. I've probably butchered it, but this is what I get here. They're slowly, little things starting to take turns for the worst until it's too late and they can't really get out.
It's one thing
like the Wicker Man.
He is known for, John, Ari Aster, is he conditions his audience with the pacing of the film. Yeah. As the characters are discovering what's going on, so is the audience. And that's part of the experience of his type of films. Yes. Philip does mention as well, he was gripped from start to finish. This film came in at 2 hours and 27 minutes for I don't want to say horror because Philip doesn't regard it as a horror. I would say it's more psychological thriller horror, if you like. But that's quite a good running time for that type of genre, John.
Yes.
And he also says you don't want to miss the final act either. So it's good to see that this film doesn't burn out before the end. So it's a film that I'm looking forward to seeing.
Absolutely.
I think possibly if I was off that week that we were considering it, I probably would have took the trip through to Bathgate. Or maybe not. I've been to Bathgate before. But listen, it'll be out soon, digital download anyway, so I'll get to see it then.
Stephen, the final thing I will add is you're absolutely right about what he says about the final act. This is what it's kind of it's his trademark, if you like. Again, I've only seen it in one other movie, so I'm perhaps talking absolute crap to shoehorn him into a specific style or trademark, but from Hereditary, it was very slow burn. They enveloped you in. Was this paranormal events? Was it just grief overcoming? I think it was, what's her name again? She's a great actress anyway who's in it, Toni Collette. Was it her becoming overcome with grief, obviously, with these series of tragic events happening in her life? And then at the end, you get a massive reveal that it's occultist and whatnot, and it just goes absolutely crazy. There's heads getting sawn off and people emulating in the middle of their living rooms and whatnot. And again, this is what it strikes me here we're going to get here. It's going to be slow burn, enveloping you, as he does say, a series of almost death by a thousand cuts sort of a setup. And then at the end, we'll have this the intentions of these characters in this festival set up revealed. As Stephen, as I says, I cannot wait to see the movie. I haven't had a chance to see it, so I can't really speak about the artistic merits of the movie itself. Only to say that the concept was very intriguing, the characters looked intriguing, they looked fully fleshed out, and I cannot wait to see the goddamn film once again. I'll say it again. Yeah,
that was a great review as well from Philip. We'll move on though, John, to our next review coming from the movie couple. This is Crawl from 2019, and this is directed by Alexandre Aja and stars the likes of Kaya Scodelario, I think that's how you pronounce that. Butchered that one. Barry Pepper and Morphed Clark.
Yes, Kaya Scodelario. Yeah, that's a terrible,
I don't think I even said that.
Name, Stephen. Yeah, this one isn't out yet, Stephen, over here. Sadly, this is one of the sort of a once upon a time in Hollywood setups where we have to wait 2 months after the States to get a movie. Lord knows why. It's the digital age, almost. Everything, well, most people don't film in 35mm film and whatnot. It's straight onto digital, and they can wide release it everywhere in the world instantaneously. But sadly, they've opted to delay this one. It's not out until Friday here. So we can't speak about the artistic merits of this movie again, Stephen. But having read the review, they're not fans of it.
No.
I get the sense that it's almost jump scare after jump scare. It's almost lacking emotion, which is intriguing, Stephen, because I did see various other people, critics and whatnot, speaking about this movie, and they were actually quite surprised that it was decent in its quality. I think Campari and the likes of that, and I think even Stuckman says that it was actually pretty decent, the movie. I don't want to say decent, but it surprised them, the quality, because I think this was another example of what we've seen with Hobbs and Shaw, where the studio actually held off the embargo until the last minute, and this got a lot of critics concerned that perhaps this movie would be a pile of utter shite, but it turned out that it was actually better than they were expecting. They do say, Stephen, before I let you in, that something happens with an alligator at the beginning of the movie, it gets injured, and they felt that this would be something that would carry on through, would get a classic revenge tale like we got in, I think, Jaws, whatever the hell it was, the one that followed the family across the continent.
I think I know where he's coming from, and I think I know where he's getting the idea from. It was Happy Gilmore. Your Chubbs, I think it lost an eye or something. I can't remember, and it came back at the end, and it was the same alligator.
Yeah.
Not this time, I'm afraid, Jerry.
No, sadly not.
But Elizabeth, she actually goes one further and says that, although it wasn't her cup of tea, she did say, I'm paraphrasing here, I don't want to read word for word the review, but she does say it wasn't the worst film of the summer. That goes to Men in Black International. She would watch this film, Crawl, a million times before she would watch that one once over again. So that says a lot. And I have seen Men in Black International. It was absolute.
Is it Phoenix Forgotten Mark II?
Terrible film.
Yeah, that's not good.
Absolutely terrible, John.
Stephen, you go into Rotten Tomatoes, and again, this may be that it's a polarising movie, but the critics 82%, and the audience score 7,500. Ratings 75%, so it's certainly a movie that's intriguing me. We reacted to the trailer. It did look interesting. There was some intriguing cinematography going on. There was a top-down look onto a toilet. She was stuck, the female character was stuck in the cubicle, and it was swirling around. It looked very realistic, almost harkening back to Jaws, the original Jaws movie, where it didn't look as if, obviously they will be digital, they'll be CG, these alligators, but they looked very realistic, the way they utilised it. It was almost practical effects in some shots. That's what it struck me as anyway. The concept was very cool. It reminded me of Equalizer 2, where it's this sort of a hurricane coming into this remote, I want to say Florida, maybe town, it must be Florida.
Yeah.
They always get battered. And then also you've got this added issue with the alligators, this flooded alligator
Which is so
farm.
Florida,
which is
the
Florida.
Everglades, yeah.
Stephen, one thing I did hear though, is that there's an issue with, I think, the basement in the house. They're trapped in, a lot of it's set in this house. Apparently the basement has holes in it, which is something you would never ever get in a Florida home, because they are battered, as I said, with very unsettled weather, tornadoes and hurricanes and whatnot, and if you put holes it's going to flood the house. So that was apparently a little Easter egg, or a little goof that was in there. But as I said, Stephen, it doesn't come out until Friday. I probably will go and give this a bash,
it's very
despite
difficult,
them absolutely killing it. It's all subjective.
Yeah, exactly, it doesn't put me off, John. I certainly enjoyed the trailer, but it does look like they gave all the best bits away in the trailer. Certainly, as Jerry says, he wasn't scared one bit. So it's just one of those films that I want to see. It's one of those ones that's a mixed bag. It's a bit of a Marmite film. A lot of people like it, a lot of people don't like it. So I'll certainly be giving it a bash this weekend, and I'll give my thoughts on it. But we'll move on to our final review this week, coming in from DM Anderson, John. It's Hellboy from this year too, and this was directed by Neil Marshall and stars the likes of David Harbour, Mila Jovovich, Ian McShane's in there, Sasha Lane, Daniel Day Kim, and Thomas Hayden Church.
Yes, Stephen, this was one I actually went and watched on Amazon Prime. I rented this one purely because I seen it was on the rundown. I didn't actually watch this movie in the theatres because I thought it was utter shite, to be frank. The critics were pounding it. Wasn't a success box office wise. It was a flop for the Hellboy franchise. Technically this is a reboot. I don't know if this counts as part of the greater franchise, starring the likes of Ron Perlman, also directed by Guillermo del Toro. But I went and watched it, and I have to say, Stephen, I was pleasantly surprised. I actually didn't think it was as bad as some people were making out. I actually felt some of the humour was pretty damn good at times. The fighting sequences as a whole were pretty fluid and well shot. CG a little ropey, and I agree with most of what Dave's saying in the review. He didn't watch the first two Guillermo del Toro directed movies. I seen the first one. I never did watch two or three, I think, after that. So I wasn't overburdened. I wasn't a massive Hellboy fan going in to see this movie. I just went in with
I think you're probably the best judge for this one then, John,
Yes.
because, as you said, Dave's not seen the original one, he's only seen this one, so he's going in with fresh eyes, which could be a good thing. I did see the original too. I've not seen this one yet, so...
it's not as good.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. I think you're probably the best judge of it, but it's good to see that despite all the sort of, feedback from the likes of... the former director, Del Toro, and Ron Perlman. I don't think they helped the cause, John, to be honest with you. I felt that they didn't have to put their noses in or make any comments on this film. I think it was very unfair on Neil Marshall first and foremost, and certainly on David Harbour as well. I get, that they'll be very attached to these characters in the franchise, but it was a long time ago. Time to move on, guys, and let other people have a go. I certainly did enjoy the trailer, I've got to be honest with you. I think we did one for the sort of...
Red Band.
The Red Band, I thoroughly enjoyed that. A lot of swearing in it, John. Was that the case in the film?
Absolutely, Stephen. This movie is probably the most profanity-laden story I've ever seen in my entire life. I forget the guy's name, we were just talking about him. The little Scouse guy. I don't know if he is Scouse, but he's certainly Scouse in this. He plays Stephen something. He plays a sort of a goat or half pig, half man, demonic character, and he does a power of swearing in this movie, Stephen. I have to say, he's got an on-off grudge match with David Harbour's Hellboy character. Stephen, you're absolutely right though what he says about obviously Perlman and Del Toro rounding on this movie before it came out. That was absolutely disgraceful. They had their time with the franchise. Allow this new wave of movie or filmmaking to come out and maybe reinvigorate it and take it off in a different direction. There was no need for them to come in and criticise it. And Stephen, I absolutely agree what he says as well about obviously me perhaps being the best judge of this movie in terms of comparing it to Hellboy. Well, maybe not. I've not seen the original Hellboy in such a long time, so perhaps I'm not. But from what I recall, Hellboy was a better movie, the original Hellboy. But this one, they don't opt for the origin story in a sense, and Dave does touch upon that. They do multiple flashback sequences, and sometimes that did grate on me, I have to say. There was a lot of exposition in this movie.
Yeah.
Stephen Graham, that's the guy's name, ridiculous amount of exposition. We went back to the 5th century at the start, which incidentally was beautifully shot, black and white. The Mila Jovovich character, who's the actual character's name eludes me, Nimue, this evil queen, blood queen I think she was.
Nimue. Nimue.
Okay. She is unleashed plague upon the world. It's black and white, and then she steps onto the screen with a blood red dress and it pops out. It's incredibly shot. The cinematography was very good as a whole across the movie. But Stephen, yeah, as you did say there, Stephen Graham, he had an on-off grudge, as I did say previously, and there was flashbacks with him as well to 1992. So that was my one grating little thing. Yeah. Perhaps too many flashbacks. We went back to Nazi Germany. That was a little nod to, I believe, the original Hellboy movie, where we see that great sequence. And obviously this mad scientist and the Nazis unleash Hellboy into the world. I believe it was Hellboy that stepped out. Ian McShane plays his father figure. We both love Ian McShane, I think, anyway. I certainly think you enjoy him.
Actor, yeah.
And he is very good in this as well, Stephen. He's got that distinctive sort of a vocal style. He slurs his words a lot.
Yeah.
But he's very, very cool. He's the fatherly figure. But all in all, Stephen, I enjoyed it. It was much better than I expected. I do agree with most of what Dave says in the movie. In the review, I don't think it's as bad as they've been making out. I think it was primarily just Hellboy fans of the original movies, that is, just not accepting this film, no matter what, how good it was. It wasn't the best. I'm not going to sit here and say it was absolutely tremendous, but all in all, I thought it was better than I was expecting. I certainly didn't feel as though I'd been robbed renting the movie on Amazon Prime.
I think I'm going to have to get your account number, John, so I can check it out. But listen, that brings us to the end of this week's blog rundown. We'd just like to thank you once again for joining us, and we will be back again tomorrow with the Force Friday show.